Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Discipline Therapy podcast for your Discipline Therapy Thursdays with your two hosts, Suhey Sotomayor, and with me always, Mr. E.L. Discipline, who's drinking his water, keeping hydrated because it's hot out there.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I would like to remind our wonderful viewers to follow, subscribe, like, and share, and turn those notifications on. Also, a big shout out to our sponsor, Jam House Music Studio, located in Lindenhurst, New York.
We're also on the major listening platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Castbox, Overcast, what else?
iHeartRadio, you said that?
iHeartRadio, and many
Podchaser.
Podchaser, and many more. This is your Discipline Therapy where everything is completely free. You want to know what's free? If you subscribe, it's for free. It's judgment free, sucker free, censor free, sensitive free, and plenty of liberty. God and the ancient ancestors are great, and that means everything else is straight. So go grab your wine, popcorn, or roll a blunt. But the main thing is make sure the children are in bed. Why? Because we have that soul food and sometimes vulgar conversations. Prepare your mind to be fed. Light one up, inhale life, and exhale strife. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are tuned in to the Discipline Therapy Podcast.
We're here. All right. And tonight we have a really great episode 40, Thick Women versus Slim Women. And
get into
we
it.
have a fantastic in-studio guest, Miss Jennifer Michele.
All the way from CT.
Yes.
You know what? That is wonderful. That's amazing because we offered, you could have done Zoom, you could have called in, but you came all the way out here. And you know what? We thank you for that. That is amazing. Thank
Never
you.
a problem.
But there's a plethora of women out there who want to meet me. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe she wanted to meet me.
Right.
Us.
Yes.
I like that.
That's better.
I like
Yeah,
that better.
yes.
All right.
Really me.
She is a commissioned portrait artist from Connecticut, that we just said, with a bachelor's in fine arts. Her self-portrait, Aphrodite and Broken, was received by the National Organization of Women and recognized by House Representative Rosa de Laura. She is an educator and student and is currently working towards a dual master's. And go ahead with your bad self. In social work and women's and gender studies. She is a keynote speaker with Jane Doe No More, a sexual abuse survivor network. That's amazing. That's amazing work. She is a humanist and supporter advocate for the body positivity movement. Check out her work at jennifermichele.myportfolio.com. I went on there.
Thank you.
You have quite a little talent there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
I try every once in a while.
Everyone's not all the time.
Not all
just
the time.
sometimes.
I love people who work hard or who have ambition. Doesn't matter who you are. You know what I'm saying? I love that.
All it means is I don't sleep.
I know we asked you before we went on air, what is it? Oh no, you said that you yell at kids all day long, and I said,
do.
oh, what do you do? Are you a teacher? And you said both. What grade do you teach?
Right now I'm teaching middle school, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is rough.
Yeah,
they can be
because I had kids at that age,
Yeah.
and I mean now they're older, but
I was gonna say my own are 11 and 16. My son just turned 16, so
that's nice.
in the same range. But
Yeah, no, mine are 20 and 23, so I got rid of that age quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, let's go, move faster.
I know I'm almost done.
Good for you. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Wow, that is rough.
It is rough. They're a handful.
Yeah, my lord. All right. So, are you ready to discuss our topic for today? Thick
Absolutely.
women. Yeah, she was like, "Let's go. Let's jump into
I'm
it."
ready too.
All right, let's go, Mr. Yale Discipline.
Oh, you want me to start, or I thought you were gonna run with it.
Oh, well, the first bullet is don't date thick women and then ask them to go to the gym or change their diet. You wanted them that way, and you got them that way.
Yeah, that's directed towards the fellas.
Let's ask our wonderful guest who came all the way from Connecticut.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I find that it's kind of funny actually. Guys that normally go to the gym a lot, I think they like thick women because I think they want to lift us. And I say this all the time to everybody.
True,
like,
that's a good point.
a lot of times the guys that are like really fit or like bodybuilders and stuff like that are always hitting on thick women, and I think it's just because they want to see if they can bench press us.
That's just Are you a comedian too? We've had some funny guests on the show. That was funny.
Like walking around my house is like a sitcom, so maybe that's just practice. It's got to be.
When I see a thick woman, I look at her as, like you said, it's a workout. because I enjoy working out. So I look at it like when we have physical activity, whether it's sex, well, I live a BDSM life, whatever it is, that's gonna be a workout. I don't need to go to the gym that day. She's gonna give me that workout. Skinnier women, you could get a workout as well, but bigger women give you a bigger workout.
It's
that's how I
funny.
look at
It's
it.
funny that she said that a lot of guys, who lift weights and stuff, which
Yeah.
I agree with you too. But I've also seen like the really skinny guys with
Yes.
some big women.
It's one or the other.
Yeah, and it's like, well, how does that work right there?
That always scares me as a thicker woman because I've been both. I've been skinny and I've been thick, but like as a thicker woman, like the thought of like a little skinny man, I'm afraid.
You're afraid that you're gonna break him?
She was gonna get to
I'm
my
afraid that I'm
question.
gonna hurt him.
I was gonna ask you what do you have a preference? Like, do you like muscular men? Do you like men who are big guys? Like
Like fluffy guys?
Yeah, like teddy bears.
So I know like the dad bod is in right now. It's like a huge thing. Everybody's all about the dad bod. I'm okay with that because I don't feel like I'm going to break somebody.
Okay.
But I'm 5'4", so I tend to like people that are taller. But that's not hard to do when you're 5'4". Most people are.
But as far as body type, you like a thicker guy or like a thinner, more muscular? Like I'm not too keen with like the thinner type of guys, only because for that reason. Like I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to hurt you.
Right. Because even though like big girls, I think the assumption is that like we're lazy or what have you. But generally speaking, I'm quite athletic in those moments when it's necessary. And so I find that like somebody small might not
be able to keep
Me,
up to handle
I don't
that.
mind a lazy woman in bed. I'll tie you up and have my way.
He'll make you lazy is what he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I was thinking about that actually on the way up here. I was thinking about like, because I've listened obviously and thinking about some of those things. Like I would have a huge problem. Like it wouldn't work.
She'd be tied up fighting.
I would be mad about it because I like to move. Like I like to do.
Yeah, she's proactive. She's ambitious. Yeah, but most it's kind of like that. If you have like a worker, that's why you might have a muscular man who goes after a thicker woman because like it's not just the work. It's also like I'm can only speak for myself. When I see a thick woman versus a slim woman, I'm like the thick woman could take more pain. If I spank her,
there's more cushion.
There's more cushion. Like she's not. Whereas I might break the little one,
or you might hurt your hand like hitting a bone or something. No offense, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
it was a joke. I wanted to match her comedy style.
Listen, they're equally fun. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have a slimmer woman in the air fucking her. You could also do that with a bigger woman. You know what I'm saying? It's a workout, but you could also do it with a bigger woman. You could toss the smaller woman on the bed. You could do the same thing with a bigger woman. It depends on the man and his, build
abilities, right,
and muscle density. But I do feel that thicker women are more fun. Like you could,
what I think so too.
Just squeeze them, and
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like
plus
you could just squeeze them.
So okay. So before we get into it, I want to what?
I didn't do the bossa. You know what? It's too late now. It's too late.
Before we get into it, I wanna I know you're cool and everything, but if there's anything that you don't want to disclose, plead the fifth.
You could always plead the fifth.
Anything that's too much because we can be vulgar. I know you're cool because we've already talked about it, but just in case.
I mean, I teach, and so that's why it's Jennifer Michele in here. But
So I have to do the disclaimer because I want to ask you this next.
Oh Lord,
I was warned a little bit.
Oh, okay, good.
I was a little. I think.
Have you ever had, because you are heavy-breasted, which is not an insult?
No.
Okay.
She almost spit up her water.
No,
with that
I was trying to
It's not an insult, Have you ever had a man that said to you, "I just want to titty fuck you" or something?
Yeah, absolutely. But the next part of that is that a lot of these things that people ask to do or whatever is really not that enjoyable for us. It's really super
we
awkward.
don't get pleasure from that.
Right. It's not
it's just I hope you're enjoying it.
I was just going to say the only pleasure is making sure that somebody else is enjoying it, that type of feeling from it. But for us, it's super awkward. I mean, even though I'm busty, you still hold everything together to make sure that there's.
And then all you see is something coming at you. But it's okay. I mean,
I was going to ask you the same thing. But
has anybody ever asked to do that?
Yeah.
Yes, and like Jennifer said, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, but there's no, nerve receptors
Pleasure
there.
for
There's
you.
nothing
Right.
there. It's just
Uh,
like, somebody rubbing your skin.
do you
Right.
do you have a preference of race now, currently, because you're thicker? Because you said you were both.
Right.
Currently, I'm talking about. Now, before you answer that, when you were slimmer and how you are now, what was the tension like?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So even when I was slimmer, I was still curvy,
Okay.
and maybe not like busty like I am now, but I was still curvy. So I found that a lot of times, and this is obviously generally speaking, a lot of white guys weren't necessarily into me, which is,
Mm.
I mean, it is what it is. It's
Mhm.
fine
Common, yeah.
because I wasn't really into them either. But um, I think for me, it's more of a personality thing because I've dated all of it. But for me, personality wise, but I am more actually like attracted to black men.
Okay.
Why is that?
I don't, I don't know.
I think I know.
Well, I actually truly for me, like it's a visual thing,
Mhm.
and like the artist in me like takes that over. But truly, it is a visual
Yeah.
thing. Like I think that the contrast of skin and everything like that to me is like very
Like
sensual.
meshing together. Yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
nice.
There's something about that for me, and it's always been like that since I was actually one of my like all-time first crushes was Tupac, and like to this day,
Oh, well,
right, exactly,
hot.
and to this day, like still, and I had to have been a teen, like before teenager, actually,
Mhm.
probably because I'm 40. How long ago was that?
Long time
I
ago. How
totally
old?
just
Yeah,
outed my
I think
age
early.
too.
girl, I'm 45. It's okay. He always
20,
said they
20, 20, 25 years ago?
Right.
Anything?
So I
More
mean,
than
even
25
yeah,
before
years?
because he
that,
would have been what, 50 now?
More than 25 years? Yeah.
I remember like
Damn.
loving him when I was like when I lived in Colorado as a child. Like I was like 13, 12.
You're originally from Colorado?
I've been all over. I was born in Cali, and I've lived between here and Colorado my whole life.
What? So, as in New York, no, Connecticut and
Connecticut.
and
And Colorado,
Colorado?
yep.
That is so cool.
Yeah, my father's originally from Connecticut. My mom's from Colorado.
Nice.
So I've been fortunate.
You're a skier?
No, I hate the snow.
Me too.
Oh,
I hate the wind.
hate it.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
a cold.
getting warm, and I'm like in my element. I was saying, like the kids today, I was like, "Oh, everybody's like, so it's supposed to be like 80 degrees." They're like, "Yeah, great." I'm like, "No, it's great." They're like, "We're here." I'm like, "Well, that sucks."
Wait. So how? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna
No,
go off
no, go
topic
ahead.
anyway. No, I was gonna go off topic.
All right. Well, knowing you a little bit outside of the podcast,
Right.
I know you're an alpha female.
Yes.
And I think that is another reason you gravitate towards black men.
Probably.
Yeah. Because you kind of see them like that equivalent.
Like they can handle her.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
And
gonna
then
say
and then
that.
my second thing was gonna be like, where you weren't attracted to the white guys, they weren't attracted to you. Could that be the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Some countries might look at you and say you're unhealthy or you're obese.
Right.
But my culture, because I'm Caribbean, I'm like, oh, you look good. Like
Right.
you're
Like
healthy.
healthy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next bullet, fellas, don't go after a thick woman if your dick can't make it past the cheeks.
I've heard that many times.
Those
That
cheeks
is a
will
fact.
test you. He's like, I
That
can
is a
put money
fact.
on this.
I've heard that many times.
Because
The
go
only
ahead.
person we can ask for their expert opinion on this one is you.
Yeah, because thicker women, there's more cushion for the pushing. So they might, and even Fab has said it. Have you ever heard the thimslick track? They have the ability to make you come quicker because of those cushions. So it's almost like I tell the men, like, know your limits. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna date, like we were saying prior, if you're gonna date slim thick or thick woman, whatever you want to call her, right? Know your limits. Like, don't start saying, "Hey, I want you to go to the gym now." You met her that way.
Right. Don't try to change
You
it
know what I'm
now.
saying? Like, now it's time to have sex, and then she's pulling your pants down, and you have 2 inches, and she's kind of like, "What's that gonna do?"
I mean, it's gonna get her angry. I could tell you that
Right.
much. She's gonna be like, "What is this garbage you're coming
You
with
know what
me
I'm
here?"
saying?
You
Yeah.
pass the cheeks with that one.
Yeah. So you were saying, like, did you mention earlier if you do have a preference of body type for men?
Very skinny for me is always awkward. So
Okay.
I mean, I've dated thin, like
I was gonna ask because you
I
had
have,
asked her if her taste in men has changed
Yeah.
with
Her body type.
with her body type.
Change. No?
It's always been the same, right?
yeah,
Okay.
I've been very consistent with that.
Mm.
All right, that's good. That's good to know.
Now, go
too
ahead.
thin is like a problem for me.
Now, with black men being like your preference,
Mhm.
do you adapt everything about black culture and black men, or you just like them specifically because you're attracted to the alpha, the skin tone you said?
I I don't know how to answer that actually. You kind of stumped
Meaning,
me on that.
like for example, like hip hop is
Oh,
like
so like, do
black
you listen
culture.
to that
Oh,
kind of
well,
music
yeah,
and stuff?
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
That's I thought you were saying like, do I adapt myself to the culture of the person that whoever I'm with? And I was going to say
Oh,
no.
okay.
When you're with me, you're just with me. Like
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily change that.
Oh, all
That's
right.
good
All
because
right.
you
Yeah.
should always be yourself anyway in
Right.
any
I'm
relationship.
transparent and authentic, like on every level. So it's really, it's you either love me or hate me.
I do believe that the woman adapts the man's lifestyle, culture, character. That's why I
I
asked
think
you
that
that.
most people do that though. Like when you're with somebody,
Yeah,
if
you
they
just
listen to a
kind
different type of music than you listen to,
Mhm.
like you kind of start to listen, you feel it out. I mean, granted, normally in the beginning, it's like you don't want to listen to it, but then you start to like. It's like I dated somebody that liked country music,
I
and
was about to
I
say,
was like, oh god, I was like, why?
how
Why is
long
this
did that
happening?
last?
4
'Cause
years,
oh my
You said,
lord,
why is
but
this
she was a
happening?
black woman,
Oh, yeah?
so like, go figure.
that's 4 years of country music.
Yeah, it was rough.
You must have really
She was,
loved this person.
she's so great, like so amazing, but yeah, like it
Like,
took a
I love
lot
you,
for the
but
country, right?
you got to change your music styles.
But then you find yourself every once in a while, like a song or two, and you're singing it, and you're like irritated with yourself that you're singing it, like disgusted. Why am I
I
singing
like the
this?
old country, like Alabama type, not
Mm,
like the new. I don't know. But anyway, that's see,
right.
I'm going off topic
Yeah.
again.
So what are your goals, aspirations like after you achieve what you need to achieve academically?
I used to think that I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up,
Yeah.
and I still don't. And I've been a hairdresser since I was 19. So
Mm,
that was one career that I had, and I've worked in corporate. I've done all these different things, and I don't think there is an end goal.
okay.
I think it just keeps progressing and going further
So
and
you have
further.
like an insatiable appetite
Yeah.
That's
for
For
awesome.
knowledge, for
success.
like, yeah, for everything.
Uh,
Like I feel like I need to know everything. I always want to know everything.
so she mentioned
The
you're
bachelor.
on a pursuit of studying men and women.
Mhm.
What talk about that a little bit.
I think that, and you might not like this so much, but I know we've had conversations about it.
Yeah.
For me, it's more so of dispelling a lot of the social norms around like gender,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily like gender roles in particular, but like gender in general. Like
Yeah.
why should I not be able to fix my own car because I have a vagina? Like that's
Yeah.
so ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And I do say vagina a lot, and so like my
No,
daughter
that's fine.
stopped. I know, I figured
Yeah.
you'd be fine with it. My daughter normally is like, "Mom, you said vagina way too much." I'm like, I don't think that's possible. But like, I think that just because you have penis, like you shouldn't be afraid to be vulnerable. Which I know this is like that's a thing for you, but like you shouldn't be afraid to be vulnerable. No more than I should be afraid to fix my own car just because I have a vagina.
Well, I don't have a problem with that.
With
With
being
what?
vulnerable.
With no,
No,
well,
Oh,
were you
okay.
fixing your own car?
Right.
being
I was gonna say,
vulnerable depends
right.
on the circumstance.
Of course.
But as far as like your tire is out, I'm here, you're here. I'm the type of person I'm gonna do it because of the man that I am. But if you know how to do it, there might be a day, go ahead, do it. But
Right.
most women don't know how to do that.
Right.
Like you're in the 1%. Yeah,
I do not know.
you're in the 1%
Oh,
that does.
right.
And
You
I don't
understand
want to
what I'm
know
saying?
either.
So
I was
yeah, so I don't put a stamp on because regardless if she knows how to do it. Like
right.
that's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So I don't oppose that. And like coming here also, like it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. This is your time
Oh,
to
right.
shine. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're not here, obviously I'll do what I do.
Right.
But this is your time to talk your truth and whatever it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that we've had conversations where he knows that I'm not afraid to
Right.
necessarily
Yeah.
argue with him.
Right.
a
No,
little
that's
bit,
good.
Like,
And we
I want
Right.
to just to touch on that. I think it's wonderful and necessary for a woman to know in case she's
Right.
God forbid driving by herself. It's always a good thing to know. I
Right.
do not know, and I don't plan on learning because I feel like I'm just gonna call somebody.
Well, so
AAA, a friend. I don't know,
absolutely.
but that's just me. But other things, I do agree with you.
Right.
With how it's
Why should I be the one that always has to cook and clean?
well,
Like
I like
that.
cooking.
Yeah.
I say, well, I like cooking.
I
That
like
I-
to cook for I like to cook for big like like big
I don't know how to
holiday
cook small,
dinners.
yeah.
Yeah, I always cook big, so that's
Mm.
irritating to cook for small dinners.
Right.
But why should I have to always do that
Yeah.
alone?
That
Well, I
I
think
have a
that's
problem
something.
with.
I think that's something that it should be discussed within the couple. You know what I
Right.
mean? If
Yeah.
I'm coming home
Right.
after you and you're here, start dinner. I'll finish it.
Right.
But like that's something that I think is a you come to an understanding.
But I don't always think that has a gender issue. I don't think that is a
Is a
gender
gen-
thing.
I don't.
think
I
that's
don't
just
think
a
so either.
relationship
I
thing.
also exactly, and I also think that just like females should learn how to change a tire
Right.
and know a little bit more about your car so that you don't get taken for. I
Right.
think it's important for males to also know how to cook because you might
Right.
not have a girlfriend for
Yeah.
a long period of time.
Right.
How are you going to feed yourself? You're
Yeah.
going to go to your
Those
mom's
ramen
house?
noodle
Yeah,
diets.
like
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm self-sufficient, so
Yeah.
I know
Right.
how to do
Exactly.
all of that.
Right.
People should be
That's
self-sufficient.
where it's different.
Yeah.
Female and male at the same time
Absolutely.
with each other. You just have to get to do what that other gender does, just so that you have that knowledge to do it for yourself.
Right.
Not that you have to all the time, but
And for me, one of those things, like I feel like I've earned the right to, like, I know how to fix all those things in my car, and I've done a lot on my own,
amazing.
and like wiring in the car, so like weird
Yeah.
stuff. Like there's been times where I'm like trying to fix like the exhaust on an old car, that like crazy weird stuff that I've tried to fix just because why not? There's YouTube, like I can try to fix it. But if I have a flat tire and you tell me you're going to change it, I'm going to let you do that because I don't want to.
I was
do
about to
it.
say,
So, like,
I hope
I'm
so.
not. So
I
I'm not a
like-
fool. Like
I like that. I like that.
Yes,
I know how to do
Because-
it, but I'm not going to.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because-
I've earned
That's
the
the
right to
point.
not do it.
That's the
Yeah.
point.
Right.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
know how to, but if you're here and you want
Right.
to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
100%.
Because I'm the type of person, and I've said this in prior shows, like I offer regardless. You know what I'm saying? I get into a relationship, she needs money, I offer. Pay the bills, I offer. Hold the door. Oh, I can hold my own door. No, I'm doing this. I offer.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless. But, there's women out there that are like
No,
steadfast.
I could do it.
Like
Don't
they're
touch it.
adamant.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
so I like that. Well, you're also a Libra. So you
Right.
look
You
at
like
both
balance.
perspectives.
I do. I am. Yeah.
I want to get into this. You're a keynote speaker with Jane Doe No More.
Yes.
How did that come about? And how did you start that organization?
No,
Okay.
no.
How
I
did
wish no, there's this wonderful woman, her name is Donna. I did that art piece, Aphrodite and Broken, and it was a response to, it was like a homework assignment. So it was a response to a homework assignment. We had to create a visual response to some art history stuff. And it was during the feminist era, and like, that's what we were studying. So I've mentioned, and I know you probably know this, I used to work as a bartender in a gentleman's club.
Oh.
So like this topic is, nothing's off. I mean, nothing's out of the limits for me
Okay.
because, right,
Yeah.
I've been around it all. And I started this art piece, and I don't know if you looked at it or read the prose that goes along with it, but there's like degrading words in it and things like that, things that I would hear on a regular basis. And so that's how it started. Well, because of my history, my past, I was abused. I was sexually assaulted for years by my mom's boyfriend. And this
That's
is something that
awful.
we talk about, and it's known, so it's not necessarily something that's I'm outing myself here.
Right.
But for like 3 years, and it started this whole grooming behavior, which I didn't even realize was happening. So I did this art piece, and I put all my story in there, and I was like so excited because as an artist, we never finish anything. So like to actually finish something that was done and framed, it was amazing. And I started to show people this art piece, and my therapist at the time, she started to use it for other patients. Like
That's
clients. Yeah,
awesome.
it's really amazing. But showing it to other people, they started to tell me their stories. And what was kind of like traumatizing to me, and fortunately I knew how to process it, like a lot of the stories, I was like, oh, well, that's happened to me. Like, oh, and I didn't even like
realize it.
Right. And so I'm like, oh, that's happened to me. That's happened to me. That's happened to me. And so like by the end of it, I was like, what the hell? Like my whole life got like turned upside down in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like up processing all night, like just thinking about like all the crazy stuff that people had told me that happened to me that I didn't even realize was an assault, really. And the next day, fortunately, was my therapist appointment. And I go in, and she's like, so, and I show her the piece, and we're talking about it, and I tell her all that happened. She's like, so like, how do you feel? And she goes, well, what do you think? And I was like, it's just so fucked up. Like, that was all I could say. Like, and that was pretty much the end of it, because by then I had already thought it all through. But I mean, even to the point where, I think that was probably maybe 4 years ago or so. I was date raped like a month before that, but it was just so common to me that I didn't even register it.
Wow.
So
Now let me ask you a question. So has your personality, like the way the Jennifer Michelle I'm meeting now, has that person always been there? I mean, have you always been like this, or okay?
Not even close.
So when you were younger and
Mhm.
all this happened to you, were you more? Are you more of
Reserved?
right? Are you more of a, for a lack of a better word right now, more pro woman now than you were back then, or was it like around the same?
It's different.
It's different.
I was raised by a single mother, so I mean predominantly, and my mom's. I'm stubborn and independent. My mom's probably 10 times worse than I am,
Mm.
Oh, wow.
and she always instilled in me like the ability to change your own tire, to make your own money, to do all of those things, which was wonderful. But she's working on it, but she's just as broken as I am for other
Right,
reasons.
right.
So like we now, and she was very young. My mom's only 15 when she had me, so we're very
Wow.
close in age.
Mm.
So I always joke and I say that I raised her well, like we're doing it
Yeah,
together, right?
right.
But she, fortunately, I guess because she's so outspoken, I've never had a problem
Being outspoken also.
being a woman.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I have had a problem being like speaking. I've always been great for other people, like speaking on their
Just for
behalf,
yourself.
but for myself, I never did.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get through the sexual assault and things like that? Was it therapy? Because you mentioned your therapist.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I ended up moving away from the situation like 3 years after it happened. And I kind of just didn't deal with it.
Okay.
I kind of just put it aside, and I'm
Yeah,
very
you buried it.
right. I'm very
like
good at that.
like so many.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very. And they say like and this is like the true statistic. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are abused by the time they're 18. So
And usually by somebody that they know.
right, and it's more often than
Yeah.
not somebody that they know. There are very few like random perpetrators. I mean, when you think of predators, when you think of it that way.
Mhm.
But I just didn't deal with it, and I mean, obviously, it caused like a ton of problems.
Yeah.
And my prose, if you read that, like when you win, and if you read that, it has a lot of that in there. It just starts those behaviors that you think are acceptable,
Mhm.
and that's why. I mean, even bringing it back to the topic, that's why I was so thin, because one of the only things I could control was my eating, and so I just didn't.
Oh. Now, has it affected your relationships because of it?
Yeah.
A lot.
Did
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Did you? Okay. So you said that it was one of your mother's boyfriends.
Mhm.
How did that come? Does she know about it?
Oh yeah,
And how did?
she knows. We At the time, my mother is a recovering alcoholic, and she says she only did cocaine once for 15 years, but so realistically, she has multiple addictions.
Right.
But at the time, she was only 15 years older than
Right.
me, so she was still a baby herself, and she didn't know how to process like what was happening. We went to the police station and all that stuff, but
That was my other question. Did you press charges or get him arrested or anything?
so I was 10, and I had been abused
Wow.
abused for years, so I didn't know how to verbalize
What's happening?
right,
Or
and
what you were even feeling or thinking?
well, or even like what was
Know
going
what
on or
was
what
going
happened.
on.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm
Tito's.
saying? Because
So
at the time, you're not.
Right.
right, and especially when
He's an adult, for Christ's sakes.
exactly. And so because I couldn't verbalize it, they didn't take it seriously. I mean, there was a plethora of problems with him. I mean, he used to tap my mom's phones. Like he was like he was not 100%. And so he was
That's awful.
just a genuinely bad person. And it was odd because I remember I was in school with his daughter and stuff like that. And my mom, like, we were friends, and my mom told me I couldn't hang out with her because of it. So I had to like tell her that I couldn't hang out with her because of what her father did. And
Good for
those,
you.
like,
At least you said you told her.
but it was like one of those things though, even like thinking on it now, it was just like, it just came out matter of fact.
Right.
But no, like the police didn't believe me really. So nothing ever happened with it.
That's terrible. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for that.
No, I'm good with, like, not that I'm good with it, but
Right. You're
Right.
working on it now, and that's very important. Like how he and I have had conversations. We know, other people who have verbalized, oh, I know that this is my toxic characteristic or whatever, and they don't fix it. You know what I mean? This is something that is, if you leave it internally without trying to find a rhyme or reason, or even
Right.
try to wrap your head around it, like you said, it already has affected
it just
so
eats you
much in your
alive.
life, right? That you're working on it, and that's a fabulous thing. And I give you kudos for that.
I actually in speaking and doing all of that, it actually has helped me tremendously, because now, I mean, we go to school and we're educating high schoolers on like consent and stuff like that. So it's really awkward to be there in front of a bunch of 18-year-olds and have them ask you some of these questions, which has been good and therapeutic in its own way.
Does that click something in you? Like, why are they asking me this? Are they asking me because is it happening to them?
We've
Because that's
seen
what I
some.
would have. That's what
Yeah.
I would have just picked up on.
We've seen some. And now for me, because I do that and because I'm doing social work and because of all of these things, so like we'll be out. My children love me so much, but they get so irritated with me because I'll be like, oh, that's a bad situation. So they're like, Mom, really? We're like having breakfast. And I'm like, I wonder if somebody's called DCF or something. And they're like, Ma, shut up. And I'm like, I can't help it. Like, it's just so
But it's true
bad.
because you know how it feels.
You can't shut it off.
Exactly. Like
Right.
if you know how it feels and you see something that looks a little bit suspect, you're gonna want to step in and do something.
But what's interesting about that is I actually questioned my own education right now because it's weird. So again, I'm teaching, and so there are students that you see, and you know that like some of them you could tell like at home it's rough, whatever. And there was one student who all of her behaviors seemed normal to me because it was so much of me that I didn't even
You
question
didn't
it,
pick up.
and I didn't see the red flags.
Wow.
Whereas the other teachers were like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible," blah 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 blah, and I'm like, "Oh, I get,"
Like, what do
because
you
she
mean?
almost is like hypersexualized even at her age, and so it was like weird because to me, her behavior seemed normal, but that's because they were normal
Because
to my
wow, you did
11-year-old
it.
me, right?
Now, to cut you off, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's part of your job, right? To be able to read them and to be able to incorporate psychology. Now, what you've been through, some people might say people that are in BDSM right now that are practitioners or participants, they had a horrid past. That's why they're in BDSM.
Some people.
Whether it was a masochist,
Mhm.
a sadist, a submissive, or dominant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've
Which is
asked you that.
Some
misconceptions.
people
Right.
have, right? It's
Which
not
is
everybody,
misconceptions. Yeah.
right? And there are some people that know that, like I know that there are certain things that in that lifestyle I would never be able to do.
Yeah.
Like
Just
what?
because of like my own mental. There was somebody asked.
Oh, BDSM?
Yeah.
Like
Not. I
what?
mean, some of it
I said that. I was like
Like
what?
what?
right. Like some of it I definitely can, but like
Like
some stuff
choking?
that, I
That
don't mind
doesn't.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that. But there was somebody asked me one time if they could put me in a cage, and I was like, I don't think that's a good idea because at some point I'm going
You're
to get out.
claustrophobic and shit.
Right, but at some point I'm going to be out. So like you're in trouble once I'm out.
Yeah.
You better run.
Right.
And just
You
to
just pray I don't get out.
and just to elaborate on that, it's the different dynamic
Mm.
and it's the person you're with. Like
Right.
that guy he's probably a master and he likes a master pet dynamic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like whereas a dominant may not want that. A dominant
Right.
may treat his submissive as a queen.
Right.
You go out in public, y'all holding hands.
Of course.
You know, like a cage to him is weird. Like I don't even want to have a collar and leash when we go out. That's for
Right.
private. So
Right.
yeah, so like that's like those type of people will make you be more apprehensive to the lifestyle because now you
Absolutely.
might think this
They're
is how
all
the
like that.
entirety of
Right.
the
Right.
lifestyle is. Or
No, and I know it's like normally an agreement, like in a, there's
Yeah.
like there are limits and things like that, and that's totally understandable. I think that's one misconception too.
Mm.
Whereas
Mm.
somebody who has been through some of the things I've been through, and don't get me wrong, I don't ever regret any of it.
Right. Because it made you the person that you are and the
100%.
amazing work that you're doing now.
Right, and that's exactly.
Let
it.
me ask you this. Excuse me. With your history that you just shared with us, has that affected your as adult now, like in a new
Yeah.
relationship, when you tell them how, like your partner or whatever, how do they react? Are they like, oh, like do they not know how to treat you after that, or do you find like they're more
I always get the
understanding?
puppy dog eyes.
And oh, okay, she answered my question then. I was gonna say, do you disclose that right away?
I mean,
That's a good one.
I always like to say that I'm an honest book, not necessarily an open book. My business
Okay.
is my business, so I
Okay.
don't necessarily
Tell
say
and tell
it.
right.
Right.
Or
I
or
mean,
maybe you wait until you find that they're
or
trustworthy enough or whatever.
you're right. I mean, people when it's kind of hard when you speak with a keynote when you're a keynote speaker for one of those, like it's kind of
Right.
a given. But I don't necessarily disclose like the details.
Mm.
If I was asked, I would. It's not necessarily something that I hide. I can't think of anything that I wouldn't necessarily say. I mean, unless I was uncomfortable, and I would just say that I was uncomfortable.
I've read one someplace that it says when you can tell your story without crying, you've healed.
Oh,
So that's that's amazing. That's good for you.
no, it is amazing. But I think the hardest part is because I feel like I hadn't cried about that in so long that I didn't even when I finally sorted all that through. I think what made me so upset is like realizing all of the behaviors that I've carried on from that.
Mm.
Like
Like what? Can you give us an example?
So I don't sleep through the night.
Ever? You have broken sleep.
Extremely
Insomnia.
rare. It's extremely rare, but it's usually because like I was always afraid to sleep through the night.
Because he was gonna come in.
Right. And my mom was like, she worked like crazy, like I do. And so she wasn't always home. And so if he was there, like I just wouldn't sleep through the night. Or I remember when I was little, I used to like fall asleep, like curl myself up in little balls and like fall asleep in weird places.
So he
And
wouldn't find you.
I never realized that's what it was until like years later. And then it kind of, when it hits you, you're like,
yeah, that's
like, it's just so
that's
wrong.
so sad too. Yeah.
But I didn't realize.
And did you realize that with therapy, like while you were in therapy, that and those subjects that came up, like, oh yeah, I would crawl into a ball and sleep in the corner, and did they make you realize, oh well, you know why that is, right?
No, actually, it was after all of this happened, like after the art piece and all that stuff, when all of these things started to come out, like it was like one thing after another it was almost like that crumb, like the crumb trail that you follow, like one thing after another, and then all of a sudden it was like everything was just like, oh shit, like this royally screwed me up, like on so many levels.
The light switch went up.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
it's
crazy.
good to recognize that and get that closure.
Right. I always say my life changed in 24 hours, and it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That's amazing. I think you do amazing work. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the supporter advocate for the body positivity movement. What is that about?
Yes. So I mean, it's huge right now on social media. Like but
Lizzo.
I've been saying this for years. Right. Lizzo's, you gotta love her. She's like, she's out there and she's unapologetically her. Right.
Beautiful.
And I love it. And one of the things that I've been saying for years when I worked in the club, especially, like there's all these, I mean, the owners want like skinny women, like they want skinny strippers. That's what they want. And so, right. But then you get all these guys that are coming in and they're like, isn't there somebody thicker? Isn't there somebody thicker? Like, when are you getting on stage? And I'm 40. Like, I don't want to see myself naked. I'm not letting you do it. Like, no. And I used to say that all the time. People would be like, no, get up there. And so like, so I keep saying, I was like, all these girls are going to have to get like a personality. And with that thing that I sent to you, like, you know, you're cute and all, but you better like figure out how to talk to people because it's shifting. There's like a change in what people are liking.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like back in the day, a big butt was like taboo to have, or oh my God, you're fat, you're obese. But now like people like celebrities, you know, then women are following, and you're kind of seeing what the men are starting to like as well. And now it's becoming more accepted.
Right.
Actually, I think now it's turning again. I think people want more of a natural look. If you're gonna have a big ass and big tits, fine, but do it naturally, because some of these women are taking it like to the extreme, and it's like that doesn't look good, honey. That does not. That's that's not
it's so crazy.
Nice. It's not visually appealing anymore. You know what I mean?
There's someone out there who's gonna fuck that. A man.
There's an ass for every seat. We used to say it all the time at the bar. There's an ass for every seat. Like no matter what you look like, there's somebody that's always going to be interested. One of the things that I think is funny is that there was a dancer that was there. She was absolutely beautiful, and she had plenty of surgeries. And at one point, she decided that her butt was too big, and so she was like, I got to take some of it out, because she had put she kept putting into it.
Wait, did she do it like the right way, or did she, like so many of them just went in?
Like it was the right way. She had a phenomenal butt, but like it looked like it was the right way.
Some people do fat transfer. Some people do shots.
The shots is terrible.
I don't know how they do it.
That's not good.
No, I joke all the time, and I tell my daughter gets mad at me. I say when I hit that lottery, I'm gonna look like Coco, Ice-T's wife, like immediately.
I don't want to say anything,
Coco, but like
but. I worked for plastic surgeons. So I've had surgery. I've had a tummy tuck. I've had my breast done. I'm going to get my neck done soon.
I'm all about the Brazilian butt lift life. I would do that in a minute.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And I'm sorry for all the plastic surgeons out there. Don't do it. That is it. Right now, your butt looks nice and squishy, and maybe I'll get to squish it. You do that, it's like this. It's like hard.
Oh, really?
I kid you not.
Even if they use your own fat?
It just gets hard.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's no.
Oh, I guess I'm glad you told me that.
Just work out, girl. Do some, steps. Good.
Maybe.
Don't do it.
All right. Might have changed my mind.
And I'll tell you a secret off air.
Now, would you do it for your personal gratification or others as well?
What, workout?
No.
Oh.
The surgery.
She looked at me like,
right, like
I don't work out for myself.
Like,
wait for you.
For real. No. The surgeries and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that would only be for
Good
me.
for you.
Yeah, because if
Yeah, that's why I
like
did
pretty
it.
much the same thing. Like if this is how you met me and you're cool with me like this,
Mhm.
you're out of luck.
Mm.
And I don't want to, make it seem like I'm against, surgery or anything like
Right.
that. If it's gonna make you feel better for yourself,
That's the thing.
100%. Because when I had my surgeries, it
Mhm.
wasn't for anybody else, but for myself. I
Right.
wanted to, make feel better
Right.
about it. So to whoever wants to do it, go right ahead. It's just my opinion. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning. Where can we find this Jane Doe No More? Like, is there?
There is a website. There's also Facebook.
So
There's
it's Jane Doe No More on the Facebook. That's what
Mhm.
they type in.
Yep,
Okay.
and it's a huge network of survivors. So there's I think I'm gonna get the number wrong, and I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I think we're up to like 54 speakers. I could be wrong.
Oh
Mm.
And
wow.
we are nationally. So we have
Mm.
some people in Montana. Like there's people across the country. So it's still growing, obviously. And there's constantly we're constantly welcoming new people, which is good, I guess, because then the awareness is getting out about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great group of people. We do obviously we have like the mixers and all this stuff. One of the things that we were talking about just recently is that there's a huge underrepresentation of minority women and men actually, and there's a
Yeah.
need for
We
it,
like to keep it on the
right? And that's
Don't tell nobody.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, my story didn't like go out until I was in my late 30s. Like people knew, but people that met me would never know.
Right.
And so that's kind of the thing. But there's a huge, I mean, when you're looking at a group of people, when you're looking at people just hanging out wherever, a park or whatever,
You
and
can't
you
tell.
think about 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men, like
Mm.
that's a lot of stories that are just
That's a
not
lot.
being told.
Yeah.
And so we always and I constantly tell people, like, especially people that are in different cultures and stuff like that, because it's not just, it's not discriminated. It's
Mhm.
No,
not discriminatory.
it
It's
really
everywhere.
isn't.
So that's one of the things that I feel like I try to say.
Now, do you find it's more men that are the predators, or have you heard stories about women predators too?
I mean, predominantly I've heard of,
It's men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
predominantly, but there are women that
Yeah,
are.
of course,
Um,
100%.
I
Or at
mean,
least they help them in some way.
right, and there's also that whole concept of coercion lately, which is a newer concept for most people. Most people don't realize that coercion portion of it is still an assault.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And if you agree to it, that's one thing. And I know you've talked about this recently in one of
Yeah.
your
BDSM.
right,
There's safe, sane, consensual.
right,
So yeah, that's big, and that trust factor and that comfortability is the cornerstone to the lifestyle.
right,
Because if it's not, like, it's no different from abuse and rape. Because people
absolutely,
Yeah.
the people kind of link the two together
right,
when they see BDSM, whether it's graphic images or whatever it is, and they start saying, "Oh, this is rape, this is abuse."
right,
But what they don't understand is the dynamic, the communication, the connection,
right,
and the consent.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that trust factor.
And
But
so that's like even with the coercion thing, and I'm sure, I mean, you would be able to speak to this. So like there are some women, well, maybe not you, but there are some women that are coercive in that they keep pressing and pushing
hmm
and pushing and pushing until you give in, and then
Mm-hmm.
and that's still technically a form of
Yeah.
assault. So
hmm
I mean, you might not
I mean, we
necessarily
heard of stories like, what's his name? The Epstein guy.
Jeff Epstein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's doing that.
Of course he was.
You know
Of
what I'm saying?
course.
And
All
utilizing
he
his
had was
money,
young girls
Coercion
that
is
couldn't.
money
That
or
don't
utilizing his
exactly.
right,
money
money
and
or a
saying,
threat.
yo, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
do this,
Right.
threats,
Right.
Right.
and this is that. And
Right.
there were
You won't
women,
get that deal.
Right.
I won't
yeah,
put you in a movie. Yeah.
there were
It's
women that were
awful.
like, oh, I
All
went
these
to
celebrities.
I went to the FBI and cops and they wouldn't do anything
Mm-hmm.
because of his prominent name and what
Right.
he would do. You
Yep.
know, so yeah, it's out here. You know, they're
Definitely.
out here.
Now you said that it's less that there's a shortage. I forgot the word they used for minorities to speak out. Can I ask you what your ethnicity is?
I'm just I feel like I'm almost everything under the sun. Like I am like that pound puppy that they used to talk about where it's like a mix of like that mutt. That's
Everything.
me.
Okay.
I'm German, Hungarian, 2 types of Native American, English, Irish, Italian.
You
Like the
everything.
list, I really am.
Wow.
Like the
Okay.
list goes on and on and on.
Good to know.
Yeah.
she has it all in
It's
there.
like, it's whatever. You just pick a country, I'm sure.
So, and also you're working on your dual masters, right? How hard is that? And when do you see the light at the end of the tunnel for that?
I'm still looking for the light. My dual masters, I've been
You want a
doing.
flashlight? You
Yeah.
can find it better.
I still don't even think it's there. Like I'm like feeling around in the dark. I started, well, like I said, I was a hairdresser when I was 19. So since then I've been doing that, and I've been, doing I've been bartending since 2012. And I decided that I was going to become an art teacher. That was like my original thought. And then I was like, well, art teachers, like those programs get cut. So me
Mhm.
being a genius, like I thought, I'm like, let me go into like art therapy. And so then I
That's
started,
awesome.
it's amazing, but then it's like one avenue only. So
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, let me go into social work. And this is how my brain gets dysfunctional. So I'm like, let me go into social work. So then I'm like, okay, I graduate with my BFA, which I just graduated in May of last year, 2020. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So like that was like a big thing. So then I immediately go into this dual program, and it's so intense and such heavy
Workload.
content. And single mom trying to like work and do like, so I just really think that
So you're in the programs now, you're saying.
yeah.
Okay. How have you been able to fare with the pandemic and all that? Did that put a stop? Did you have to hold on to something because school closed, or how did that come out?
It actually, I had to get a day job, which was
Okay.
rough because I was bartending up
Mhm.
until COVID,
Yeah.
and it was perfect. I mean, bartending was perfect because I worked 3 days a week, and that's all
Okay.
I have to do, right? So now I
You
had to
get
like
tips and stuff.
get a real
Right.
job, right? No
Damn
offense to
it.
I know my students, I love them, but like I had to get a real job, and now it's kind of funny because with social work, the field placements are you're doing like 3 or 4 days a week in a field placement. So now, like working and doing that, I'm realizing that I might not be able to do that. So now I'm looking to see if I can do the teaching certificate in addition to those things, because as if those are not enough.
I was about to
All
say.
right, I'm not 100% there. We've already kind of glossed over that. But to do all of these things, like maybe the teaching certificate's the best way so that I can still maintain these other things. And so now I'm just trying to, COVID just like threw everything
For a
out of
loop.
whack for
Yeah.
everybody, right? Like everybody's kind of like stuck on that.
Did you get to meet Rosa de Laura, the House Representative?
I wish I had. No, she had been at our school a couple of times, and I was normally either in class. Like I'm not one of those. So celebrities, like I don't, whatever it is, what it
Yeah.
is. Like I'm not one to like search out for people. If I
Mhm.
bump into somebody and like, wow,
Right.
that's awesome.
Right.
Like, but I don't like really search them out. And I was always in class when she came to the school.
Mm.
But wait, did she come to the school for your piece?
No, she actually works. I went to Pear College of Art in Hamden, Connecticut, which actually they're moving. But like I went to, it's an art school, and it's pretty much all they do.
Okay.
There's photography, interior design. I know I'm going to forget graphic and all of these things, but that's like their main thing. So she works with them frequently. So when this came out, when I did Aphrodite and Broken, I went to one of my professors because we were getting ready to have the art show at the school.
Okay.
And I wanted to put the piece in, but it has like there's like vulgar words. Like it's got
Mhm.
meat to it. Whereas
Mhm.
like it wasn't like an assignment, a
Right.
nude painting. Like, oh, they're great, but like you see them all over. So it had meat to it. So I was like a little concerned about just putting it in there and like what the
Right. You just
response
wanted
would
to
be.
make sure it was good to go.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, and I didn't want to. I just didn't want them to take it out because
Right.
I think that I would have been more upset about. Like, just tell me not to put it
Right.
in,
Right.
and then I
Don't
won't.
take part of it and then not the
Right,
whole
like
thing.
don't reject me.
Right.
Yeah, that's part of it. I guess that's part of it too. So don't reject me because then I would feel really upset about it. But so I showed it to my professor, and he was like so caught off guard because I mean he
It's
told me he's like,
powerful.
well, yeah, and he told me he's like, I see you every day. He's like, you run around here like a ball of energy. He's like, you never stop. You always are smiling. He's like, you're crazy as the day is long. He goes, and to like read this and read the prose in it, he's like, it was like reading your diary. He's like, I felt like I shouldn't have been reading it. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, well, it's no big deal. And he's like, what do you mean it's no big deal?
Mhm.
It was like right in the height of the Me Too movement.
Do you feel like that's a defense, not a defense, like a coping
Absolutely.
mechanism?
Oh yeah, I'm very well
Yeah.
guarded.
Yeah.
I have very
She's like,
strong walls. Right. Please, no, that doesn't happen.
She presses the button,
Right.
everything
It's
closes.
like Fort Knox. It's better than Fort Knox. Right. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that, I mean, and I have started to become vulnerable in rare
hard.
situations.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not
It's hard
often.
to let go of that your
Right.
secrets and your told
Well, and then when you
tight.
do and it doesn't work out, and then you're like, well, why the fuck did I take down the wall? Like, what the hell was I thinking?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I do find that happens. I was going to say, with working in where I worked. So obviously when you mentioned this topic to me, I was like, oh, that's easy.
Mhm.
For myself, like I've always been attracted to thicker women in comparison.
Okay.
I probably the same thing as like with men. Like I probably a
So
little more meat is better.
do you feel? Wait, are you bisexual?
Yeah.
Oh.
You were always bisexual?
As long as I can remember.
She was like, I
like I
think
feel like it's
so.
been like that for a long time. But
Interesting.
I've only been in one relationship with a woman, and when
The country music woman.
correct. And when we first met and she's like, well, have you ever dated a woman? I said, I never met one that I wanted to see outside of my bedroom.
Oh.
And so that was like like our joke for a long time. And then after I was like, I'll never date another woman. Not that she's not wonderful, because she is, but I was like, we're crazy.
Yeah.
Like
You
we're
wanna-
nuts.
No.
He's like, thank you.
I mean,
Thank
I
you,
know
podcast
that
gods.
some people are, some of us are crazier than others, but we're like, and I'll own it all day long. I know my crazy,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, we're nuts.
Did you live with her?
Yes.
Oh, so you got the full blown nuts when she got her period and all that good stuff,
Yeah, and
vice versa.
no,
Obviously.
I had a hysterectomy in 2009, so I have nothing left.
Ah.
The eggs in no
So
basket.
lucky.
I know.
So
I'm
lucky.
super lucky for that.
That man kind of gives you that balance.
Yeah.
Because you say you're crazy. So when
I have a
go ahead.
question. Okay, so because you've been in a relationship with a woman and a man, do you feel like, who can you be more yourself around? Or who, that is one question. And who can, like, if you're going through it mentally, like either you're angry for no reason or sad or whatever, who can bring you down? Like, who can ground you?
That's a good question.
You heard that?
The to speak to that, actually, it wouldn't be a gender thing, because there were
Personality
times
thing.
where I think that even though she's so amazing, she was there like helping my kids learn how to my son ride his bike, like all these things, and she's like, we did things that we would have never done. Like her family was big into boating, and so we would, we were at the yacht club and all these things that we would have never had a chance to do. So she's logical, kind of like, for a woman, she's logical. And I know that sounds like harsh, even though I am like a feminist to some degree. We think very emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of there's not a lot of black and white for us. Like it's a lot of gray.
Right. There's not a lot of mindful thinking. We just act.
Well,
when we're
that, or it's
emotional.
like we overthink. There's like no in between. We either react or we overthink. And I think with her, she's able to
She had a good balance.
sometimes, yeah. When it came, just like me, when it came to other people, she had a good balance. But when it came to herself, not always.
Now, was she a lesbian or bisexual?
She's lesbian.
Okay.
She's a gold star. She's never been with a man.
Okay.
She says she has a gold star.
That's what they say.
That's hysterical.
No, that's what they say.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what
There's
just think
another
that's-
phrase that
She
my
used to
daughter
say to
told me
me.
about. I was like, I don't know what that means.
I just think that's
Right.
always difficult to women in a relationship, because like you were saying earlier, if you're both on your period, PMSing, there's no one that's gonna say, calm the fuck down.
But to some degree, men get a form of like PMS. It might not be the same, but y'all get moody sometimes too. And it's like consistently, maybe it's an anticipation for like when we're gonna be moody. Maybe that's what it is. Like it's a
Maybe.
defensive thing.
I don't
No,
know.
there's
Depends on what
something.
mood.
There is something.
There is something like scientifically called for it, but I forgot what it's called. But it'll come to me in the middle. If
There's
I
like a
yell
male
it out,
version.
I'll
a
you'll know.
male
Right.
PMS.
Yes.
But it's not. It's called something
Manimus.
else. Go ahead,
What
keep
is it?
talking.
Manimus.
What type of moody you mean? What do you mean?
Like, so
I mean, I guess that
it's like
depends on the type of
not
on the
short-tempered.
man
Short
also.
temper.
Right. Kind of.
I
Or
don't-
like I can't think of the word, and I'm usually good
You,
with
you
words.
know when sometimes you feel
Like
like you're
sharp.
just out of it, not out of it, but you're off.
Mhm.
That
Maybe.
there is
I
something.
don't think-
There's
like,
there's a word for it. It'll come to me.
Right.
It might come
It'll be
It-
like
next
later.
week, but
It
it'll come
might
to me.
it might depend on the circumstance. Like I know for me, like if I'm, because I'm an empath, so when it rains, it might try to get my mood down, and
Right.
now I have to be self-motivated, and I channel different things. I'm like, you know what? Let me go to the gym now. This is gonna get me out of my funk.
Mhm.
So now I don't see my sub see that with me, because the moment I feel like she sees that, even though I could talk to her about it, like, yo, today I was feeling a little depressed, but I got out of it. So she'll know,
Right.
but she won't see it. And I kind of feel like I don't want her to see that, because she relies on me for my strength. Like when she,
Circadian rhythm, something like that. That's what it's called.
oh,
I think I've heard. You
Yeah.
might be right on that.
yeah,
I-
we could Google it. But like,
That works too.
but like,
Just
I
look up
feel
male
like
PMS.
I don't want her to see that, because when she has her moments, she could come to me. You know what I'm saying?
I
Whether
think there's a
she's
huge
depressed or-
misconception. This like feeds into that whole toxic masculinity thing.
Yeah.
Like we predominantly know that if we're having an issue, we can come to you. But what I think happens is, when I say we, I put myself in that category, even though a lot of times I'm not very emotional, like I'm not very womanly in that.
Okay.
Like I've been called a dude many times. Because I have no problem like cutting off, like I have no problem cutting off emotions, like no problem. Like I can be very blunt and not feed into that
Do you know why that is?
because I'm a dude sometimes.
No.
Okay.
Probably because of what you've been through.
Exactly.
Probably. No, it's true.
Because I've been told the same thing.
Right. It's
and I've had similar with, it wasn't my, similar. It
I
was a
don't
family
think-
member.
I think
but
toxic masculinity is fictitious, but go ahead.
I think toxicity. Okay, so maybe toxicity is probably a better word to
Yes.
say because it's not necessarily masculinity, but to some degree it is. There's men are held to a standard where, especially minority men, are not able to be emotional or to do those things because then it's looked down upon, like you're weak. And I think that we already know that we can come to you when we need somebody to be strong. So that's not necessarily the question. What it is that it's strong to a fault. Like women have this whole emotional, and this is the thing. So, and I don't necessarily subscribe to this. So women have this whole emotional need. Like we want to be able to share and we want you to share and everybody wants to share. Like there's too much, like it can be too much. And sometimes, and I'm a talker and I will overshare but at the same time, like I know that sometimes I don't like myself because of it. Like I irritate myself. And I think that we always want that conversation, but then when we get it, we're like, oh God, he's being so needy, like this and this and this. But that's right. And so there's like
I kind of feel like sometimes, well, not sometimes. I feel like you women, and I will generalize, I feel like you women have a laundry list of the type of man you want. We might have a few. And that laundry list might be unrealistic. Now, let's say for like a 1% chance you get that everything you want in a man. I guarantee you're not gonna want him.
Right. There's
subconsciously you might sabotage the relationship. It might be something like, he's not giving me enough attention today. He's not doing this. Why the fuck is he around me all the time? Doesn't he have friends? Go out with your boys to the club, please.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It might be something like that. But I think also the problem is men and women don't understand each other, one, and they don't accept each other for who they are.
Correct.
Like I feel like women are like, yo, I'm loyal, I'm this, I'm faithful, I open and I communicate. Why aren't you this way?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's the disconnect. And a man might be the same way with a woman, like, why aren't you this way? You know, so I think that's part of the problem.
It's huge communication lapse. And I think that like the languages of love, people talk about that all the time. That's a true thing. And it's very applicable because if I'm telling you how I mean, it's no different than, you know, the arrangements that you make in the BDSM lifestyle. Like if I'm telling you the things that I'll tolerate and I'm telling you the things that I won't tolerate, then it's just a respect thing at that point, whether or not you honor that.
Yeah.
And so that I think is a huge communication problem too. But I think that most of us, like when we do have this laundry list, and my laundry list has gone from like 3 pages in like a journal to like 5. And I'm being like, I know this, like I know who I'm at, like I know where I'm at, right? But it's gone to like 5. Like loyalty is huge, huge. Like cheating is almost like, I mean, especially because whatever, it's just sex sometimes. Like cheating is like what it is, but like a loyalty or an emotional loyalty, those things to me are like unbreakable. So if that's broken, that's a huge problem. You know, I think that like emotional intelligence and consideration and compassion, I think that that's almost my full list. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to have, you know, they're ideally like in my mind, but I know that that's not necessarily what's going to happen. The person that I'm going to end up with is probably going to be a little skinny white guy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But you know what I mean? Like
next
thing you see, wrong with that.
Like, absolutely not. Next thing you
know,
she's gonna be here with a nice skinny guy.
Right.
Nice
skinny
white guy.
He's gonna be like 5'2". He's gonna be like 110 pounds, and I'm gonna be like, I'm in love. No,
I love him so much.
We just have to understand that we got to block the social media, and we got to understand that we're not going to find the perfect person. We got to find this person that's perfect for our lifestyle and conducive for us. You know what I'm saying? And we're happy. Like, we can't have the guy that makes 6 figures but also fucks me like fucking Tarzan, and then also could fix a tire, and also
can't
could
have all that?
educate me, and also could be
He's
a
just shooting
dominant.
down
I'm
our
saying.
You know what I'm
list
saying?
here.
And
You
that
just
that
ruined my whole
woman,
day.
she can't, like, that woman, you know, she gotta be a 10, but then she gotta make this money,
Right.
but then she gotta be loyal, and then she gotta do, you understand what I'm
So to
saying?
speak to that, like these guys that want all those things, like that clip that I said to you, my intro picture should be that. Like
Yeah.
I can't be, it's like funny, intelligent, like all these other things, and thin. So as a public
gotta pick
service,
one.
I stay
Yeah,
thick
yeah.
to like make it fair
To
for.
make it fair for
no
every-
offense to
all the-
anybody that's skinny. I'm just
That's
kidding. I'm
funny.
just kidding.
That's his
To make it
style.
fun for, I mean, fair
Yeah.
for them.
So, do you have any final thoughts?
No.
She's
We got
like,
so far. I feel so bad. We got so far off topic that like.
No,
This
it's
always
good.
happens, girl.
I
We
know.
start off
I
with
know,
some.
but-
I mean, you know what is good? We did cover all the bullets,
Yeah.
so that's
Oh,
good. And
all
then
right.
It's
you
good,
know
it's
we
good.
talked
So
about it.
what
Now you.
final thoughts? What do you would say to, let's say, like a 20-year-old, 19-year-old girl out there who's struggling with her, maybe her big breasts, her big
Her
butt,
body image?
her body, or a skinny girl?
In all honesty, I can say that like, and I sent you the pictures of what I used to look like.
Yeah.
I was hot, like super
You're
hot.
hot now.
No,
What
no,
you
no.
talking
Like
about? She
I
said,
like,
no, you
like
haven't
I
seen
was
my
super,
pictures.
like
Then.
it's ridiculous. I was like super hot, and like socially super hot. And I think about that person now, and think, you know, it's really a blessing that I don't look like that now, because I would act a damn fool. I wouldn't know how to like do what I need to do. But I think that knowing who I am now, and I think the hardest part is learning who you are. So even if you're
Yeah.
struggling with what you look like, knowing who you are and knowing realistically, I don't give a shit. Like, no offense, like I don't care
Yeah.
what you think,
Yeah.
and I don't care what you think. Not that I don't, but I
Just
do.
kidding.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But like I
Right.
know that I know my insecurities. I know my flaws. Like I'm cool with them. I've come to
Yeah.
grips with what they are. And I think one of the most important things is because that woman that I see in the pictures from when I was younger, she's super insecure. Knowing her, she's super insecure. She wants like sex to validate her, or those things, like these validations that are not necessary in life at all. And to be able to know that realistically I can buy a vibrator and come 5 times in one night, then why do I need to like make sure that I look okay? I don't, it doesn't,
Right.
I'm not sitting there like looking at myself while I do that.
Mm.
Like I'm satisfied with all of that, and like all that encompasses. And that's really the key. So as long as you can do that by yourself, that's a
No, that makes
right.
sense.
Like, but make sure that you're like doing that by yourself and be good with it. Then I think that you're on the right track. There's no need to be catering to everybody else or be worried about what other people are thinking,
Right.
because
Cater to
you're still
yourself
gonna
first.
right. You're still gonna be in bed alone at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna if you work your way through, if you base your life off pleasing people, you're always gonna have a stressful time. Oh,
yeah.
I want to please these
You'll
men,
never be
so I'm gonna
happy.
get surgery. Now they like this, so I gotta
Right.
change this. Or people want me to be nice, but then I'm too nice. Well, I'm an asshole,
Right.
but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you know me, like you could call me an asshole whether it was private or on the show. I don't care.
Right.
Like I'm gonna be like, okay, we'll agree
Right.
to disagree. Like you know what I'm saying?
No,
We
right.
went into stuff, but do you have any final thoughts?
I just, thank you so much for coming on,
No,
for
thank you guys.
traveling all the way from
Yeah.
Connecticut.
She came to see me. Come on, let's be honest.
I don't know. She's bisexual.
Right. Listen, this is like an
Okay.
ideal for me.
See what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know if you realize like this is ideal. Like,
Black man,
Right,
muscular.
right.
Hello.
Right. So this is
Do you like tattoos? Because we're both tatted. I'm just saying.
I have my jacket on. I have almost a full sleeve.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
You said she came for me. I might give you some.
a run for your
Run for
money.
my money?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but
I just don't have the muscles. But whatever.
I
That's all right.
concur with Sue. Thank you for coming
Yeah,
up.
you
Thank
are
you.
You know
a
what I'm
fabulous
saying?
guest. So you
Thank
have
you.
so much to offer, and
Yeah.
check out her Aphrodite
And broken.
and broken piece. Your stories are fabulous.
Thank
You're a
you.
wonderful
keep,
person.
Thank
Thank
Keep
you.
pushing, keep pushing. You know what I'm
Trying.
saying? And keep being you. The right people are gonna gravitate. You know what I'm saying? Those
I've
people
realized
that
that.
don't try to adjust to certain people.
Right.
They're not meant to be in your life.
I don't think she's
those
adjusting.
people.
I've actually been able to step away from that. Like
That's
that,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so right though. As long as you're like unapologetically you.
Yeah, you're gonna get the
You get
right
the people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
around you.
And hopefully maybe we could get you back on a future
When I
show.
have my skinny white, my
Yeah,
110
bring him
pound
with you.
boyfriend. That sounds great.
Yeah. All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you were tuned in to one of the most raw, uncut, unapologetic, no holds barred podcast, Discipline Therapy Podcast. Peace.